Hey, what is up guys? This is Anthony, aka Batbomb82, and today I'll be doing a review of the DC Films Armored Batman figure from DC Collectibles. Now taking a look at the front, we can see that the figure is showcased in a window box packaging. Turning the box around, we can see both figures from this lineup, including Armored Batman and Superman. So with the box out of the way, let's crack this figure open and see what we have inside. And here's Armored Batman out of the box. And man, I must say, this figure does look pretty cool. I do love his proportions and he's got a ton of great detail. But much like the Superman figure from this line, he does have some problems. And it's really hard to look past some of those things when we have so much more other options out there as far as Armored Batman figures go. But before we take a closer look at the figure, let's take a look at the accessories. So Batman comes with several accessories. Starting off, he does come with 3 pairs of interchangeable hands, including a pair of close-fisted hands, a pair of gripping hands, and a pair of open palm hands. And lastly, he also comes with his grenade launcher. So with the accessories out of the way, let's take a closer look at Armored Batman. Alright guys, now let's take a closer look at Armored Batman here. A lot like the Superman one, I do like this figure for a lot of reasons. But at the same time, he does have a lot of problems. I do like this one, I'll say, more than the Superman figure. Now, that's not necessarily me being biased, but you'll kind of see what I mean when we go to things like the articulation and whatnot. Even the paint, obviously, because since he's wearing this heavy armor and whatnot, we do have a lot more detail in it. So the armor looks really, really nice. You can see it does have like that dark metal feel to it. It really does feel like he has a thick, heavy arm, like I don't know, like an iron armored suit or something like that. Like it looks like it just feels like it's naturally metal. So I do like the paint that they got onto this. If you look really close, you can see like scratches and dents and, you know, dry brushing some silvers on there over like a dark gunmetal gray. Really gives it that more realistic metal feel, which looks really, really cool. I do love the golds of the belt and on the little bat wings right here on the bracers and things like that, and on the boots. All looks very, very nice. You can kind of see the undersuit a bit in the grays like that over here. It look really pretty decent. I do like that a lot. But I do appreciate the sculpt of this figure quite a bit. I think he looks pretty good, to be honest with you. Big old bat butt right there, which is a little interesting. But overall, I think the sculpt of this is just fantastic. But I love that we're getting the spike boots, you know, that the Armored Batman isn't really known for. I think that all looks really, really nice. Again, I think the sculpt is fantastic. What I do complain about one thing is that, again, like I said with the Superman figure, the face sculpt is a little soft. Now, I know he's wearing a helmet, so you only really see his lips, but in my opinion, that doesn't really feel like it looks like Ben Affleck at all. We've seen other figures where we have the helmet and you can kind of tell, like, oh, that's that actor under that suit. That doesn't really seem like Ben Affleck whatsoever. And to me, I don't know how it's picked up on camera, but in person, the lips are way too pink in my opinion. But I think it's okay, and you can get away with it if you want to. But what's really, really cool about this figure, he does have a light up eyes feature. When you press a little part of his abdomen right here, and his eyes turn on and glow. Now that will turn off shortly after time, or you can just push it again and it'll turn off automatically. So I think that's really, really cool. And I love when an Armored Batman can do that. I think more figures need to utilize that feature. I think it's really, really cool, and it does look really nice. So that's good. I like this cape. It's okay. Again, it looks pretty decent, you know. On the outside right here, I love how it's like pleated, and you can actually see like the lining of like the bat wings. I think that's really, really cool. Now on the outside of the cape, it almost has like a leather type of look to it, or feel to it, which looks pretty cool. But on the inside, it's almost like a satin kind of thing. So the cape is good for what it is, but it's not really accurate to the film whatsoever. It's just a nice looking cape, which is not a whole lot to complain about. But if you're comparing it to the film, I mean, it's not accurate, which is a little sad, honestly. So this is all really cool. One thing I do complain about too is this strap is part of the sculpt right here. You can, well, not necessarily part of the sculpt, but it is glued in place. That's supposed to be holding onto his grenade launcher, but it's kind of glued there, so you cannot remove that whatsoever. Alright, and I do want to talk about a couple of his accessories. So he does have interchangeable hands. So the hands are just on ball pegs, and these come off a little better, and I think hold a little better than the Superman ones because the ball peg is larger. So you could take another hand and just put it on, just like that, and it's a little tricky because they are pretty tight, and the peg does move around a bit. So let me see if I can get this on there. There we go. Did I do it? There we go. Just rotate a little bit. You'll be okay. Now, he does come with this little like grenade launcher thing right here, which looks pretty cool. I do like the sculpt of it. Decent paint apps and all that. But the one problem that I do have, he does not really hold it all that well. So this is technically, I put on what is technically supposed to be his like trigger holding hand or gripping hand. Yeah, I don't know how to hold that because he does not get a grip on it whatsoever. I've tried numerous things and that just does not happen. You can get two-handed poses, kinda, when you have the other hand and you kind of just hold it like that. But that does not work well. That is terrible. He will not hold that whatsoever. And another thing, I feel like this is way too small. Compared to him, you know, I know it's not supposed to be huge, but I think it's a little too small when compared to this figure. Alright, now let's take a closer look at the articulation here. The cape is, again, like the Superman. It does have a bendable wire in there, so you can pull it around a little bit. But since it is a thicker material used for this cape, the wire doesn't hold as well. And it does seem a little weird because it almost feels like the wire in here isn't as thick as the one in the Superman cape. So that's a little weird too, because since the Superman has a lighter cape but a thicker wire, and they went kind of the opposite with this, is a little odd to me. So it works okay, and you can do some things. Again, you'll see some pictures at the end, but it's not great, to be honest. The head is on a ball joint, kinda, and it rolls around a little bit. Does turn left and right, just like that. Does not look up and down. Looks down just a little bit. But he does have the wires from the Light Up Eyes feature that kind of go into the back of the helmet right there. But so that's just something to let you guys know about. We do get like balling joints at the shoulder as it go up and down. The shoulder pads are on little hinges like that. So they'll help you with the articulation a bit, but he can really only go up far about that much. And then again, this figure does have a similar butterfly joint that works a little better than Man of Steel, which is pretty good. I like that a lot. I do get a bicep swivel, allows it to rotate left and right. Double jointed elbows that work very, very good. I like that a lot. Since the hands are on those ball pegs, they can roll around a bit, rotate left and right, as well as hinge, which is really good. You do, surprisingly, even with the Light Up Eyes feature, we do get a ab crunch feature in here. You can see the cut right below the pec armor like that, so you can kind of see where it rotates just like that, left and right, crunches forward a little bit, pivots side to side a little bit, and then nothing below that. We do got hip joints that allows you to do the splits about that far, which is really, really good. I think that's even better than Superman. Kick forward about that much, kick back a little bit. Again, like Superman, you can pull the hip down, and he can kick a little more further up and out just like that. It does rotate a little bit since it's on that ball peg, but there is no actual thigh cut in there. We get double jointed knees that work very, very nice. Seems like there's a type of boot joint in there, but it's not really meant to rotate. That's just how the peg system works. So there's a little bit of articulation in there. Get to point the toe up and down just like that. It does rotate side to side, it's okay, and it does actually have a little bit of a better ankle rocker than Superman. So I think the articulation for this guy actually is not a whole lot better than Superman, but in some ways it still is better. And I think because since he's wearing that bulky armor, it covers some of the ugly joints and things like that waist cut like Superman has, which just looks really, really odd. I think it looks a little more natural with this figure. So in that regards, yeah, I think this one is just a little bit a step above the Superman figure. So for a quick size comparison, here he is standing next to a Marvel Legends Captain America figure, as well as a DCUC Batman figure. Also for comparison, here he is standing next to the Superman figure from this lineup. And for your Armored Batman comparison, here he is standing next to the Mezco 112 Armored Batman. And just for fun, here he is standing next to Little Lego Bat Bomb. So there it is, guys, my review of the DC Films Armored Batman figure from DC Collectibles. Now, like I said previously, I do like this figure. His aesthetics are really, really good. He's got great sculpt, great paint apps, a decent cape, and I do like his light up eyes feature. But much like the Superman figure, he does have some problems, like a soft face sculpt, hindered articulation, and the lack of ability to hold his one true accessory. But the biggest problem with this figure is his price point. At the price of around $50 is much too expensive for a figure to have this many problems. So I both can and cannot recommend this figure. He's pretty cool in some regards, but in other points I can understand why people would not want to dish out the cash to get this figure. So please comment, like, and subscribe. Stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.